y'all. MATRELL on a mission here, and welcome to the channel. I am on a mission to live my best life, traveling the world, and I invite you guys to take that journey along with me. So, welcome to another episode of Expat to Expat Live, you guys. I have a really special guest here that is living her best expat life in a different country, on a whole different continent, actually. And she's going to come in and share her story with us today. And yeah, so if you guys are here, please do me a favor and make sure you do leave a comment so that we'll know. And if you have any questions or anything, please place them in the comments so that she can see it as well. And then we can both answer the questions, okay? So you guys, if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. I appreciate you. Please subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. You know, I love you and appreciate you very much. And I'm glad that you decided to take time out of your day to join me here today. So I'm just going to say welcome, and I'm going to bring her on now. Her name is Suki, and she's going to be letting us know a little bit about her. So you guys, welcome Suki to the live. Hi.
Hi, MATRELL. How are you? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show. So like I was explaining to everyone earlier, that you are living your expat life on a totally different continent. And yeah, so go ahead and introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, and then we can get going from there.
Okay, my name is Suki. I am living my expat life in Oaxaca, Mexico, with my husband and 3 children. This is our 6th country, and we've been traveling since 2012. So we've been living in different countries for 6 months throughout that time, and we have decided to make Oaxaca, Mexico home. So we kind of have a pretty long checklist in that. In making Oaxaca, Mexico home, my husband and I have started we're actually building right this moment, a co-working, co-living space called Luxor. And it's actually for travelers like us. We would travel to different places and we always needed to work. And we always kind of found that wanting. So basically we're building the space to be the exact space that we would have wanted throughout the different countries that we visited.
Oh my gosh, that is very awesome. That is great. And then the name of the place, you said Oaxaca, Mexico?
It's Oaxaca, but I'm going to spell it for you because when I first heard of Oaxaca, I kept trying to put in a W and that wasn't taking me anywhere. So Oaxaca is the way the indigenous people spell it. So it's OAXA CA. So the Wa is actually OAX, you know.
Okay. I get it. Yes. I understand. So that's in the Yucatan Peninsula then.
No, we are actually because Yucatan is more Merida and those places. So we're in the mountains and we're south. So we are, once you start coming down this far south of Mexico, it starts getting a lot more cultural, a lot more indigenous. So Oaxaca is where Oaxaca is. And then we aren't in the Gulf at all. And it's actually the Pacific Ocean. And then below Oaxaca is Chiapas. So actually one of the reasons we chose Oaxaca, because we started at the beach first, was because we don't do hurricanes. So that was any place with a hurricane was an X. And like just major like water issues. We just weren't going to do that. So that's how we ended up in Puerto Escondido when we first came to Oaxaca. And then we ended up moving to the mountains of Oaxaca City, partly because of the heat. You know, I don't have to tell you about heat. So it's not something, heat doesn't quite work for me really well. I just won't work. You know, I needed someplace where the temperature was a little bit cooler. So we run from about 70 to maybe 85 here. And 85, we're all ready to pass out. We're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. You know, so we act like we don't know how to act when it gets hot.
Wait, when it's 75, you don't know how to act?
No, 85, we don't know how to act. 75, we're like, okay, this is what, this is life. This is where we're supposed to be. So it gets cool at night. You know, we get to around the 60s in the evening. So it's a really nice evening. And when it's warm, you just keep your door open. But we don't really have like those hot nights. I know those hot nights, where you're just AC has to come on if you're gonna deal. We don't really have that.
Okay. Wow. Well, it definitely looks so beautiful and plush and green behind you. And so in Mexico on the Pacific coast. And see, I gotta do more research on Mexico. The only thing I know on the coast is like what Puerto Vallarta, and I know that from watching The Love Boat many years
That is
ago.
a very popular place. Yeah, we are in. I like to call it undiscovered country, because
Yeah.
we're still being probably discovered by expats. So they only come here during certain seasons. So actually, my daughter
Right.
just called me before this call, and she was like, "Oh, mommy, there's no tourists in town. It's so great." I walked into my favorite restaurant, and I sat down, had my meal, and I didn't have to like wait. So
Right.
we have like times where people come specifically, but Oaxaca in particular is known as the food capital of Mexico.
Oh
So
wow.
the tourists are actually Mexican. So there's some American and that kind of thing too, but there are a lot of
Yeah.
Mexican tourists that will come here for the food in
Uh-huh.
particular.
Oh wow. So is that like Mole country?
Yes, I love myself some moles, I have to tell you. So I am all about moles. It's red, mole amarillo, mole negro. I do it with every
Mm-hmm.
meal now. So
Really?
I'm Haitian, and I grew
Okay.
up with sauce as like part of the meal. There's no meal without sauce. And I always
Right.
thought for my whole life it's going to be sauce. Now I'm all in my moles, so it's still sauce. So I made some mole for someone
Uh-huh.
the other day. I was like, look, mine's a little saucy because I know you guys like it a little thicker. So I have to bring my Haitian self back into the mole. So my mole is probably different than other people's. I put some onions and different things in them, but I basically can't have a meal without it anymore.
Okay. So I don't know if that's you buffering or if that's me. Uh-oh. Can you hear me okay?
I can. You sound great.
Okay. Okay, because I heard it because it was buffering for a second there. So I didn't know. I was like, I don't know if that's you or me. It's probably me because our internet is hit and run sometimes.
No, no, believe me, it might be me too. So we're just gonna work through it together.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. So then tell us this. So in your country or city,
Mhm.
what are the top three places you enjoy visiting the most there
So here I would
as a
say,
tourist? Like,
yeah, as a tourist. So we recently went to Puebla, and that was nice.
okay,
Like I said, we're really cultural here, so it's not going to
okay,
be the malls. We have some malls, but nothing like what you're going to find in a Monterey or Puebla or Mexico City.
right,
Like if you go there,
okay,
the only difference between probably an American city and there is that Spanish is the primary language, but you'll find a good number
okay,
of people speak English too. So that's it. But otherwise, you'll probably feel right at home. Versus
really,
here, we kind of have many more indigenous people. Sidewalks, you
mm-hmm.
got to pay attention as you're walking because they will pop up on you in a minute, and you'll be on the ground before you know what happened. So it's much more community based here too. Like here, you say good afternoon to someone, they're responding back. It could be the most gangster looking person, tattoos on their face, everything. And you're like, Buenas tardes, and
Yeah,
they absolutely give it back to you. So the whole idea of respect and community and that kind of thing is really strong here.
yeah.
Um,
Okay,
so,
good.
so that's not what you asked me. You asked me about other places, and I'm giving you Oaxaca again. But Pueblo was nice,
Yeah.
though. It was still, I hadn't been to a city like that in a little bit. So it was nice to kind of get the
Okay.
contrast. They had some really great
Mm-hmm.
vegan places too, so that was nice. Puerto, I love,
Okay.
so we go back often enough. It's got a really great vibe. It's just really laid back. Everyone just walks around in kind of their bikini top and bottom, and it's an absolute. No one's ever asking you if you have something to do because they probably have nothing to do either. So it's a really great laid back vibe. If you want to do
Yeah.
nothing, Puerto is it. I
Yes.
will say that Huantuco is another beach that I
Okay.
also really like. So the difference between the two, Puerto is
Uh-huh.
like surfers' haven. If you like, this is where all the surfers come to surf.
Uh-huh.
Basically, around the world, they have competitions, all of that. The waves are
Right.
no joke. You can't even sit in the water and think you're just going to sit because the waves will come for you and they will pull you out. So there's
Oh
no
my
such
God.
thing. Oh, I'm sitting in the water relaxing. I better not. Better dig into that sand unless you want to be out in the middle of the ocean. Tunja has bays. So there you can go with the kids and, you can sit and it's like you don't have to really worry so much. So I like both of them. So if it depends on what I want to do, if I just want to, be a beach bum, Puerto's my place. And if I actually want to go and, have my kids go in the water and not panic, then I'm going to go. So those are my three places.
Okay. And then so that last one you mentioned, the one that had the waves. So that would be a great place for surfers then.
Oh yeah, it's like number one place for surfers. All you see around town is people walking around with their surfboards. Even at there's a co-working space there. So when you go there, you see people dressed up top, like, shirts, ties, all of that. And then you see their surfboards on the wall and their shorts. So as soon as work's over, they are ready to go.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. That sounds like me with golf, because that's how I would be. My clubs would be ready. That's one of the things that I miss being where I am now. But those two places sound awesome. And then I want to welcome African Dreamin' to the live. Welcome. We are speaking with Suki today. She is located in
Oaxaca,
Mexico. Oaxaca,
yes.
Mexico, you guys. The mole capital.
Yes. Well, and all food. Food is fantastic.
All food. Yes. And I'm trying to think, what was that chef's name? He's always be in Mexico, and that's how I know that name. I didn't know where it was. I always thought it was Yucatan Peninsula, but he used to always do a bunch of different moles. It'll come to me. I'm just old.
No, but actually, this is a lot of good chefs come from here, and they come, and a few of them have opened really nice restaurants. So there are a bunch of restaurants you can go and have like a 7-course meal.
Yes. And it's Rick Bayless is his name, and I think he has restaurants there.
I'll have to go check him out.
Yes, he used to just make some really great looking stuff. All right, so then there in Mexico, what do you do for fun then? What do you guys do for fun? You have kids, a family, yes.
Yeah, so every day's fun. I guess it's hard to kind of pick out. We do the things, like we have everything here. So we have golf and pools, and there are these really beautiful parks that we go to, like national parks, zip line. So there's really something always going on. So the thing is about Oaxaca too, is they really love their outside events. There's always some kind of parade. Someone's getting married. When people get married, when they come out of the church, they have a parade on the street. So if you have nothing to do on Saturday or Sunday or even Friday, you could just go to Zumalo, the center, and someone's getting married, and you just join the parade going down the street. They've got food fairs all the time, art fairs. So I actually have to stay home to not have fun, because the second you step out there, somebody's celebrating something, and you just join the parade. And then we're very centered where we are here. So there are these caves we went to a couple of weeks ago, like underground caves, and they're just a bunch of like natural things around. I'm a little bit more of a naturalist. Yes. So I don't know if it's fun exactly, but I'll do things like mezcal ceremonies. And so it's a very, I guess, indigenous ceremony. So you go into a hut with a shaman, and he's beating the drum, and he's talking through you all the spirits and everything, and he's dumping stuff on your head, and he's like, let's get the water spirit out, and it's hot. So there it's hot, and it's not for everybody. I wouldn't send anybody to the ceremony just like that. And it's just it's a really good spirit cleansing ceremony. So it's something I try to do like once a month. So I don't know if it's fun exactly, because when you're in there and it's hot and dumping the stuff on you, you're saying to yourself, man, how long can I take this? But when you get out, you feel so good that I'm going to do this again. And it's like a lot of clarity. And then they have this is also the art capital. So we're food and art is basically our thing here. So there are always a bunch of artists that come, and they'll have art shows. We went to an immersive art show 2 weeks ago, and they were from Mexico City, and they took over a house, and they just basically recommissioned it. And there's a different art in each room, and they kind of walk you through it. So you kind of go online. They have a thing called Que Pasa Oaxaca, and they tell you everything that everybody's doing, and then you just decide, what am I doing today? So maybe I'm going to jazz, maybe I'm going to the play, or maybe we're celebrating one of the million things that we seem to celebrate all the time. And so we're just going to go on the street and celebrate with everyone.
Oh my gosh. So it sounds like it's just really progressive there then. Because if there's a food scene, an art scene, and then you're saying that you could go online and schedule things, means that people use the internet there.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, we are, it's funny you say the internet. We went to a pottery place, and it's a little bit further out of town. So it's like, I didn't even see that they had electricity. So I'm watching her make the pots and everything, and I ordered some, and I heard this ding, 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 ding. And I thought it was my phone. So I'm looking, and I'm like, no, I don't see any calls. And it's her phone. So now I'm like, what? We almost went back in time to like the 1500s is what I'm looking at. But in the middle of the 1500s, she's doing the play by hand. She's telling me it takes 24 hours to cure, and it's a 3-month process, this whole thing. And in the middle of this, there's this cell phone, and she's like, I'm going to put this on Instagram. And I was like, okay, this is so weird that you're on Instagram.
Cell phones are everywhere.
Yeah, so they really, the rugs and all of that, they do everything by hand, but they absolutely will put it up on. They all have an Instagram, it seems like. So it's an interesting mix. But yeah, our internet here is I hate to use the word great, because then the computer will go out on me. But I mean, I work, and that's part of the reason we had to go someplace that had decent internet. So there are places with fiber optics. So if I even went down here, I have places that I can go. I have my hotspot that works fine. I have my Mexican phone that I use that hotspot. So internet for me is vital. I can't operate without it. So I basically can't be anywhere where the internet is not working all the time. That was actually the challenge with Puerto. It would go down sometimes, and then everything went down. Your cell phone went down. You couldn't even call 911 if you wanted. And I was like, I can't live in a place like that. Like, I need, one thing goes down, we have another internet company that we can reach out to, or go someplace really quickly and get there. So I've been here 2 years, never had I had a power outage once, but it wasn't because the city was out of power. Somebody stepped on the line or something and it broke, and they fixed it in 2 hours. Otherwise we don't have those kind of things. So no power outages. I used to have them in Panama a lot, so that's why I know about them. And things just flow. So it's a real city. I never heard of it before I got here, so I didn't know what to expect. But we go bowling sometimes. So it just depends on how you feel. I could wake up and say to myself, I want to do, I guess, American-like stuff. I just want to go to the movies, go to a nice restaurant, maybe go some bowling. And I can do that. Or I can get up and say, you know what? I want to go total spiritual. We're going to go do a Temazcal ceremony. We're going to go do a drum line, after that. And we're going to spend our weekend in the cabins, so it's a good place.
Okay. That sounds awesome, though. And I guess for me, I probably need to change that question. I should ask people what they do, what do they enjoy doing there? Because like you said, fun looks different for everyone. Yes. And like you said, you're going to the hut with the shaman and all, doing the spiritual type things. That's what makes you happy. And that's fun. All right. So African Dreaming says, that sounds really interesting. Yeah, it does. Everything there does sound very interesting. And then Sandra, living a full life. Welcome to the live. It's your first time viewing the show, so we do appreciate you being here. And for you guys who are just joining, my guest today is Suki. She is living, her and her family, they're living their best life as expats in Oaxaca, Mexico.
There you go. Perfect.
Close. I got it. Yep, Oaxaca, Mexico. Yeah, you guys, she lived in 6 different places, 6 different countries before then. So if you're just joining the stream, make sure you guys go back and watch the replay, because she explains where they went and the whole process behind deciding where to stay. All right. And she also is going to be sharing some more information with us about this great space that her family is building there that can really be of assistance to expats like us, if we decide to relocate to that area. And I'm so intrigued by Suki, because when you say arts and foods, those are like really big things for me, right? I'm loving the climate, the weather. Yeah. There's like no major spikes. Not 115, it's 8 o'clock in the morning.
Never.
90 and 93 at 9 o'clock at night. So you don't, you don't have to deal with that. And then and it looks like you obviously have rain there. I think one
Oh
of the
yeah.
things I hadn't seen rain. I've been here almost 2 years, and it tried to rain one time and it
Oh,
evaporated before it hit. So I haven't seen rain except when I go visit the states.
okay. Yeah, we have a
Yes.
real rainy season. I
Yeah.
mean, we have a dry season, but we have a legitimate rainy season. So it's
Okay.
like clockwork. The one thing I appreciate about here, the sun
Uh-huh.
rises every single morning, no matter what. So even if
Right.
it's going to rain later in the day, you will start
Uh-huh.
your day in sun, and
Okay.
that is 100% appreciated.
Okay.
So I do want to explain though for your guests that came on, because I didn't
Sure.
probably talk about how I got to the different places. So the
Okay.
places that I've lived, that we have lived as a family, are
Mhm.
two cities in Panama. So we lived in Gargona Coronado area of Panama, which is more like the beach. We lived in David Boquete El Frances. So anybody who's in Panama, they'll know the areas that I'm talking about. That was more the mountains. We
Mhm.
lived in Grenada. We visited shortly Costa Rica. So Costa Rica and Grenada were our shortest trips.
Okay.
Grenada was a no, and we're island. I mean, we're from the islands, I guess technically, but it was
Right.
amazing. The second I sat, I laid down and we got to Grenada, I was like a buffet for the mosquitoes, and it wouldn't stop. I mean, I spent 3 weeks, and they were just, and no matter what I did, I walked around with full sleeves. I had the citronella. I mean, I was eating 2 cloves of garlic every 2 hours. I mean, I did everything humanly possible, and they just
Right.
wouldn't leave me alone. And I was like, I can't live like this. So that's why Grenada was a no. Costa
Right.
Rica we left because we from the beginning, sometimes life gives you signs. So I definitely encourage your watchers, pay
Mhm.
attention to the signs of life. Don't push it. If it's not,
Right.
just because a place is not good for you doesn't mean that it's not a good place. It just means it's not your place, and that's fine.
Right.
So Costa Rica
Absolutely.
is, I'm sure, a good place for a lot of people. It just wasn't a good place for us. So when we
Okay.
first got to Costa Rica, the trip from the beginning was, interesting. We went to the
Right.
border. We drove from Panama. We went to one border. We got there and they say, "Oh, the border's closed. The lights are off, and you need to go to the other border." So we drive another 2 hours to the other border. We finally get through the border, no problem, and we have a taxi waiting for us, which was great. We get into the taxi and we start going up the mountain. Now, I've been in enough countries that I know the mountain deal. So, I'm past the need for guardrails exactly because,
Mhm.
I've been enough places to know it's not a thing everywhere. But this was pretty
Right.
extreme. I mean, there were like no guardrails, nothing to indicate this was a two-person, 2-car road. So I start looking for the seatbelt, and the taxi driver's like, "What are you doing?" So I'm like, "Well, I'm looking for the seatbelt." He's like,
Right.
"Nah, if we go down the mountain, we're gonna die anyway." And I was like, "Okay, this is not good, but we
Not,
made it because I'm here, right?" So we
right.
make it, and I'm like, "All right, we're just gonna figure this thing out." We go to
Right.
this town that I guess they've not seen Black people before, and that's never a thing that actually has bothered me because I've been to too many places where they don't see it, so it's okay. But they were
Uh-huh.
just a little over the top, and somebody called Interpol on us. So Interpol stops us on the middle of the street, and it's like 6 officers, and they're like, where are you? Are you from Cuba? And we're like, no, we've never even been to Cuba. I mean, I don't know any Cuban people. I was like, I just don't have that information for you. And I don't even speak enough. Like my Spanish is good enough, but it's
Mhm.
definitely accented, and there's
Right.
just no way. And they were really insisting, like, every two, they were asked, and we were all there, including the kids. So we're all on this line. They've got our passports, they're running through it. And the guy we were renting from in the Airbnb, we watch him drive by, but he doesn't even stop to say, "Hey, I've been communicating with these people for a couple of months. I mean, I'm not going to vouch for them completely because you can't vouch for the people, but at least to stop and see what was going on." So that for
Exactly.
me was our like indication Costa Rica wasn't for us because that's never happened to me anywhere. And then Ecuador was actually Ecuador was good in terms of
Mhm.
I love the place. We lived in Quito and Cuenca.
Mhm.
What we learned though is we can't live in Quito because my son suffers from altitude sickness, like really
Mhm.
bad. So we got off the plane and he fell, like he just basically almost passed out within 10, 15 minutes of getting off the plane. and we had to take him directly to the hospital. He spent 4 days in the hospital receiving oxygen. And until that time, we had never heard of altitude sickness.
Right.
So this was, to us, it just seemed like phantom. Like we thought maybe he ate something, yada, yada. So we left Quito and then went to Cuenca. And as we got further into Cuenca, he got better. Like we're on the bus and we're going down.
Yeah.
He gets better. We had to take the bus back to Quito to take the flight back home. And on the bus up, he starts getting sick as we get higher. So we knew Quito's not for us, not because it's not a really great place to be, but physically it wasn't for him. So those were kind of the different countries and our whys. So with our checklist, as we started doing the countries, the checklist got longer. What's the altitude? You know, where's the closest hospital? So I have a basic rule of thumb. I do not live more than 5 miles from the closest hospital or police station.
Right.
That's kind of my rule. Obviously, I check altitude. I check internet. I check food, as crazy as it probably sounds to some people. I mean, I lived in Medellin, which I love. I mean, it's a really, really beautiful city. I felt like Medellin is probably one of those cities that has the best mix of art and the museums and the cleanliness.
Yeah.
Absolutely number one. I mean, I have not seen a cleaner city who's so committed to recycling. I mean, I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Wow.
The food, you know, I was cooking a lot. You know, I learned to love arepas because I learned to love them. But I can't say that the food was, and no one will tell you that the food is, you know, exciting for there. We actually started the process of becoming residents of Colombia.
Okay.
And it was only because of COVID. We were in the United States, we thought temporarily, and then they shut down their borders. And the only reason we ended up in Mexico, because Mexico was never on our list. I'm embarrassed to say that. Okay. I was one of those people, I was like, oh, Mexico is just like being, you know, in the United States a little bit further south. So I was like, that's not really going anywhere. And, you know, I'm embarrassed at my own, you know, ignorance, honestly. Like I came here and I was looking for a burrito, and the folks were like, that's Tex-Mex. That's not Mexico.
Right.
Yeah. And I was really embarrassed. I was like, oh man, I needed to do my homework a little bit more before I showed up asking folks for burritos. So I don't do that anymore. But we were led to Oaxaca. You know, it wasn't anything at all that we never heard of it, nothing. And I was really surprised after we got to Oaxaca that it was the best of all the cities that I loved. So I loved Boquete, Panama, another mountain town. My challenge there was that it's a little small. Like it's really small. It's like, you know, hey, I didn't see you last Tuesday type of small.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I still know all the people there. Like we still talk to them and what have you. I know when I go back to visit, it's going to be like I was there yesterday. Not a lot new has happened. And when you talk about things to do, we probably did all of it. And so, you know, it was fine, but it was small. My son is 8. And they don't have museums. You don't realize what you need or love until you go out. They don't really have museums. There was one library. And I was like, oh, I'm a library person. Like I need libraries. I need museums. Medellin, I loved, another mountain town. You know, just beautiful weather. Everything was great. Food was, you know, gonna be a little, you know, it's okay. You know, not exciting. Cost of living, though, they're still number one for me. I haven't found a place yet that has better cost of living and is so modern at the same time. So they still are like number one on the cost of living. I will say safety wise, I had gotten used to the idea that they'll tell you, there's an expression, don't give papaya. So basically don't walk out on the street and make yourself a target. So I love my rings. I'll show you here.
Okay.
And my jewelry. I have a whole thing of jewelry. I've got the hair jewelry. I mean, I've got jewelry, you know, and they love jewelry here, which is great. But I had over there, I actually took off all my rings and everything because you really want to kind of downplay yourself. Now, I've never seen a crime or anything there. It was just something that I'm one of those people who's like, you should do as the locals do. You know, don't go anywhere thinking, oh, it won't happen to me. Like, if a local person won't do it, I'm not doing it. That's just kind of my rule. So I got used to that. Absolutely. I was okay. Yeah. Okay. But when I got to Oaxaca, we still were in the mountains and everything. And I'm looking around and I'm watching all these people. There's all this jewelry. Everybody's wearing like their own kind of thing. And, where in some other places, I probably look a little eccentric. Like here, it's just regular, like it doesn't matter what I do. I really have to go over the top for it to be like, oh, what she got going. So most people can't do hair jewelry. So that's when they're really like, oh my God, what is that? But anything else, I don't have more rings than other people. I don't have more jewelry. It's just nothing like that. My colors, sometimes I go straight Caribbean on people and I got like 10 colors on and it's not a thing. I'm blended into the walls. Yeah. I'm straight Caribbean on them, yellow, blue, red, all at the same time. And I got a rap going and I'm walking, but the buildings are blue, orange, and all these other colors. So I'm just blending in as I'm kind of walking through, and it's really no big deal. So I didn't realize the freedom of, okay, I don't have to worry about my safety in that part. I don't watch TV a lot, but I still had the idea of Mexico in the back of my mind, right? Folks are like, oh my gosh, the cartels and, this, that, and the other. So I still, in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, you have to really, watch. And my kids, sometimes I know they think I'm crazy. The two oldest ones are 25 and 21. So they live in their own places in Oaxaca. And I was like, call me at 6 and then 8 the next morning. And they're just like, oh, I was like, no, I need to know. And after being here for some time, I'm like, all right, we'll see each other on the weekend. It's all right. You don't have to check in every day. So that's why we landed here. I felt the home anyway. Oaxaca's interesting in that people, when they show up here, they'll either tell you one or two things. Either they love it and they plan on staying 2 days and then it's 5 years later and they don't even want to visit any other place. Or for some people, it just doesn't work. So it's a very, feeling kind of place. We're on ley lines. It's just kind of a thing. So some people can feel it and people who feel very strong, particularly spiritually, it like really speaks to them, and I always find it funny because coming out of the airport, it's pretty ugly, and I love it here. I'm not telling you I don't, but there's nothing special going on when you get out of the airport. It's just buildings and cars and, nothing to make you feel real excited. But I remember coming out of the airport and being like, oh, wow, this is fantastic. And that's just the feeling of the place that does that to you, not necessarily what you see. And then you go downtown and you see all the beautiful buildings and the architecture and stuff like that. So it's good. But yeah, that's how we got here. So my project, you asked me about that because I know we're on a 45-minute time limit. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was great. It was very great information. And what I'm excited about is the fact that, like you never considered Mexico, right? I've only started even thinking about Mexico because I've seen so many people doing black sitting to Mexico, but they're like all over Mexico, you know, and so it's kind of hard to pinpoint a place to, try to visit first. But I definitely want to try to visit Mexico. And when you say a place has food and art, that speaks to me directly. So it's definitely something that I would be interested in seeing. I want to take this time to welcome Blind Guy, his wife, and their life to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us today. They did have another question earlier, but I can't find it. Oh, here it is. She says, "Oh wow, greetings. I'm just learning of altitude sickness. So when you were talking about that, that was something that was new to them. Also, I want to welcome Sade More. Welcome, sis. Thank you for coming to the live. And then African Dreamer, Blind Guy, his wife, and their life have a question. They said, can you expand more on food? When you say the food is so, does that mean there's food desert life or that restaurants aren't good? Got it. No burritos in Mexico."
Yes. If you get nothing else, you won't embarrass yourself. No, I just meant the restaurants. By the time you get to a good restaurant, you're paying a lot of money. And again, it must be my Caribbean background. When I was a kid, my parents used to load up my plate with all this food and they felt like that was the thing. So I've probably grown up in my mind that, a nice size portion is the thing. And if I leave the restaurant and I pay what I would have paid in the United States and I don't even have a bag to go home, I don't feel good about that, you know? So it's just, and by the time you find your good restaurants, and this is specifically Medellin, Colombia, by the time you find your good restaurants, there's not the variety. And the crazy thing is, they're not about that salt and pepper. I mean, no joke. If you go to Medellin, bring your salt and pepper with you in your bag. I've got salt and pepper in my bag right now. It's a habit I picked up from there. I have not changed. It sits right in my bag, and that's just what it is. So now there is a lot of fresh food. So if you're into cooking, the food, like if you go to the market and go get some fresh fruits and they've got a lot of herbs, it's not going to cost you a lot at all. And you can make a lot of really good fresh food. Their menu del dias I found to be great. It was always $5. So, you know, you can't be mad at $5. You know, so for the money, I wasn't angry. You know, it was like, okay, this might not be exciting, but at the end of the day, you know, if you're going to make me a whole meal, including drink and dessert for $6, I'm not going to come to you with some real high level expectation. You know, I'll put some salt and pepper on there and make my own sauce.
All right, and you guys, I want to take this time to welcome Shay Vlogs to the live as well. She says that she is just joining us, saying hello.
We're good. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who are just joining us, I'm speaking with Suki. She and her family are expats living in Oaxaca, Mexico. I love that name now. Okay, so anyhow, she's given some really great information about different countries that they lived in prior to choosing her current location. And make sure if you didn't hear any of that you watch the replay of this video so you can get all that information. But more importantly, one thing that she is doing that is really intriguing to me, and I want to make sure that she has the time to really talk about it, is the setting up the situation so that expats will have a place to go when they do visit or, you know, come there to scope it out to decide if that's some place that they actually want to live. So is that okay with you, Suki, to go ahead and
absolutely.
use time to talk about that? Yes, I'm just really intrigued by it. So tell us.
And your description is exactly right. The challenge that we had going to places, we spent 6 months in the different countries, but 2 of those months was just trying to figure out the logistics. Where are we going to stay? What's a decent neighborhood? You know, are we going to like it? And then depending on the country, you might have to pay your own light bill, your cable bill. You know, it just gets to be a hassle. And I feel like it was like 2 months wasted, you know, of just the logistics. So the reason we decided to build La Soleil is actually for people who want to check out Oaxaca and who don't know necessarily if they want to stay or not. So we we are building out apartments and everything is taken care of for you. So you have, obviously it's a full apartment, so, you know, you can cook and all of that. But in the space and thinking about ourselves, it's for people who also work online. So the co-working space is on the first floor with 2 private offices, conference room, library, and then I have kids, so kids playroom. No one has a kids playroom in the co-working spaces. I don't understand. Like, people have kids, and you should be able to go with your kids because you work, right? So even if people are just doing a sabbatical, it's a summer, and you still have to work, you can have eyes on your kid while you're doing your meeting or whatever it is. And then on the 3rd floor, we have a terrace because you can see the mountains from everywhere here. So the open terrace is the way to go. And really, like, it is a short-term stay. So no less than 3 days, no more than 3 months. And we will also, you know, be there to kind of help people, you know, check out the neighborhood. So neighborhood tours, for example. And so if you come and you say, hey, I'm interested in learning about Oaxaca, then I would set up tours for you. I have someone coming in July and she wants to do a Spanish immersion. So because we're small enough that we can concierge, that we can customize your experience for you outside of just staying. So I'm organizing for her an immersive Spanish experience. So she's got the teacher, but they're also going to go to the markets with her, and they're going to actually touch the fruit and then talk about what it's called and things like that. So it's really designed for you're working, but you should still be able to live your best life, and you don't have to necessarily choose Oaxaca. So I'm not the only person doing this in Mexico. Hopefully, in my mind, those of us who are doing it can kind of have like a coalition of places. There is one other person in San Miguel Allende. Her name is Michelle. And if you email me, I'll send you the link to her space. She also has a space where she does something similar, where I think hers are rooms. I don't know that they're full apartments, but it's kind of the same thing. Learn San Miguel Allende for 1 or 2 months. So I'm hoping in my mind, like if somebody says I want to do a tour of Mexico, that they can basically do a year in all the different spaces to learn what they need to without having to pay the light bill yourself or the cable or figure anything, any of that other stuff out.
Such a great idea.
Yeah. So Michelle and I, the only two people I know right now. I know people in some of the other different cities. Some of them have. I know one person with a co-working space, but definitely living is where our key is. And one of the things that I decided to do literally recently, last week. So we bought the space and we completely gutted it and renovated it. And it's a process that I cannot even begin to describe to you. And I said to my husband, as a matter of fact, I wish someone had talked to me about this process a little bit, because I probably would have saved myself, a solid 10, 20,000. And I would have definitely saved myself a lot of time for the things that I didn't know. So it just so happens that I had been chronicling the process for myself. So I chronicled all the houses I looked at, why I liked them, da, 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 da. So I had all this video and I said to him, you know what? I'm going to put this in a course for somebody who wants to buy property in Mexico. Because, if I can save them some money, because I would have liked somebody could have saved me some money, honestly.
Absolutely.
And it's better, I think, to have the information and to know, okay, I'm willing to get into this and know the pitfalls before you start. So I'm almost done with the project. I'm about a month out, but I'm starting the course now that take you through up until this time, all the way up until our opening, and just kind of all the different things that are involved in engaging in that kind of project. So it's like step 2 of Expat. We did the fun part, country to country, live your best life vacation. Then we moved and we lived, and it's definitely a different world, different mindset. And I was like, I'm just going to put it in a course and share the information. So that's it. That's my whole story.
Well, that's a great idea. I really do love the space, and I love the idea of having a coalition. If we can get people to work together that way, that would be awesome, and it would also be more motivating for people who are still stuck. And I won't say stuck, who haven't made the decision to move yet because of the uncertainty. You know what I'm saying? So like you're saying, if I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, I want to do like a tour of Mexico, and then I know that I have 6 cities that I want to visit, and there's a place that I can stay in each of those cities where I don't have to, do all the legwork. I could just go relax and then really just try to get my footing there. I think that's just awesome. That's something that definitely needs to be done. I would love to have a space or something like that here in Egypt too, for when people come, because you don't, it's a lot of uncertainty. I think it would make things easier for people to exit. And in addition to that, I love the idea of the fact that you're thinking about families, like you said, to have a play space there, things like that. And even just working spaces, because I guess in Mexico, then it must be easier to have online jobs from the US. Maybe is there like a firewall issue there? Because I know I own a work from home company. I own a remote work company, but I can't even work it from here.
No, they have no firewalls.
I have people that work.
Yeah. No, it's completely open. And like your VPN works fine. So even if you wanted to throw on a VPN and pretend you were in the States, it just works perfectly. It's like no one would have any idea you're in Mexico. So like inside our space, the sounds of Mexico, you can't hear them. So no one would be like, and I know you probably have sounds of Egypt. There's the gas sound, the water sound, So
the sheep, cows, the lamb.
There's always something going on. But inside you can't hear it. Yeah, so you don't have to even tell anybody where you are. You can just
Wow.
throw your computer on and just work. And then when you're done, you just put it down and you head off.
See, that is so. Tell me, I'm gonna have to go check that out for sure. Okay, so now I have to add Oaxaca, Mexico to my list. Every time I'm speaking, I think part of the reason why I really wanted to do this show is, you know, just to give everybody an opportunity to get their information out there. You know, everybody kind of share subscribers and stuff so we can grow our bases. But more importantly, as a resource to people who are on the fence and want to move, because everybody, you know, there's this big push for everyone to move to Africa. But there's also a huge group of people moving to Mexico, and there's a lot of people just don't know about it. So I just love the fact that we have choices. We have choices.
Yes.
You can live anywhere.
You can. There are a lot of choices, and PDC, Playa del Carmen in particular, is a huge, like it's well established, the community there.
Okay.
I mean, here we have community here, but we are, I would say, much more integrated with the local population. So all of us that are here are very, like, we've got a mix of legitimately Mexican friends and people in the community and what have you. So we don't have, I would say that's probably the one difference here. We don't have like an expat community in that way because we're so integrated with the larger community of Oaxaca itself. So that's why I say, when I say it speaks to you or doesn't, some people are looking to kind of recreate that community. Other people are looking to absorb what the community that exists has. And so it's just a different feel. But still, both places should be visited. So I'm totally agreeing with you. So if you want a 6, you want to give people some 6, I can give some suggestions. So obviously Oaxaca, because what can I say? PDC for sure.
Okay.
Definitely San Miguel, Allende. And I would say when you do PDC, like the whole Quintana Roo line, so Tulum, Cancun is a little touristy, but that might still work for you. Mexico City for sure, just because everything is absolutely there. And Puebla is like a smaller Mexico City, but we went to this beautiful, like, I don't even know why the museum was there, but this museum of art from the 1400s or something. There's almost no reason for the museum to be in the middle of Puebla. It just is. And it's a beautiful museum, beautiful architecture. It's really wild. But that will give you a nice wide range of what Mexico is. And if you're really into more indigenous, I would say Chiapas. So Chiapas is the most indigenous. Then you're going to have Oaxaca. From there, you probably go to Puebla. Then you're at Mexico City, PDC, Tulum. Oh, San Miguel Allende, I think it's probably a little past us. So if you're going in the, indigenous way, so it's probably us, then San Miguel, then you kind of go to the other places. So if you do that over the course of the year, you'll get a good breadth of Mexico, because it is a very, very diverse country. There's no such thing as Mexicans do that. Absolutely not. The range is just outrageously wide, but you get a sense of the place that kind of works for you.
Okay. And see, and the other draw now is the fact that I can actually work my own company from there.
Yeah, definitely works. Everyone here is working online. That's just the thing.
Oh my gosh, that's craziness. But let me see here. So Blind Guy, his wife, and their life say congratulations on the course and much success with it as you help others. And of course, please, once you get it finished, send me the link and I'll make sure I get it attached to this video as it circulates. And then they also say we follow United Fitness. He does a lot of videos showing Playa del Carmen. Playa del Carmen. Playa del Carmen.
Playa del Carmen.
Okay, Playa del Carmen.
Yeah.
All right. And you guys, I want to welcome Micro Farmer to the live today. Thank you for stopping by. It's their first time here. And they're also just saying hello to everyone else. So you guys, there's a lot of YouTubers on here right now. Be sure to follow Micro Farmer's channel. Blind Guy, his wife, and their life. They do 3 live streams a week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Great show, lots of variety. And they give a lot of useful, helpful information. Shay Vlogs is also a YouTuber. She's located here in Egypt as well. African Dreamin' is they're YouTubers, a YouTuber couple. They're farmers in Tanzania. So they're fun to follow. And actually, I'm going to be speaking to them in a few minutes. Who else? Sade Amori has a wonderful channel. She too is here in Egypt as well. So I think I got everybody that I know has a YouTube channel on here. So yeah, you guys be sure to go ahead and follow them. And Suki, you don't have a channel yet.
I don't. Well, there's not a yet. I won't. I'm like the A-team. If you can find me, you got lucky. It's kind of like that. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily kind of out there. So it's really just like that. People find me, I help them, and they didn't. We probably weren't meant to cross paths.
I heard that. So yeah, that works for you. But yes, but thank you so much for sharing your story with us and giving us so much information about Mexico. I'm excited to do even more research about it. And the fact that, and people might laugh when I say this, but the fact that Mexico is drivable from the States, I'm like, if you have an RV or something, you know what I'm saying? Or you can take your car there and get around. So
no, you can. I mean, you laugh. Actually, I actually think that's actually a really funny and interesting thing you say. Because for me, I'm always like, no matter what, I can hop in a car and cross the border, right? Either way. So if something happens in the States, I can hop the car and cross the border. So I have to say the drivability is a thing, because you can go down too. I can drive to Guatemala. I can drive to Panama. I can drive to Colombia. It's the same Pan American highway. So you literally just go on the highway and you just point your car in the direction and you head out. So there's something to that, to the drivability back and forth. It might seem small, but it actually is.
Wow. Yes, good. So I don't sound crazy. Thank you for lighting on that. But anyhow, is there anything else you'd like to say to everyone before we go?
I thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me share, and thank you for everybody who joined the stream. I'll be sharing it once I finish with the course. I'll share it, because if I do that beforehand, I'll get a bunch of emails with "Where's the course?" Right? So once I finish with the course, I'll share with you, and then I'll share this one. But I'm glad to see all the people who are out and just taking that leap. Back in 2012, we would go to the different places, and it always felt like it was just us. And now I get to have more and more conversations with people where I've gone from, oh my gosh, you guys are crazy, to, oh, we're doing it too. So it's actually really good to see people on their journeys. It has been a really, really great journey. I don't want to say you won't regret it to anyone, because I'm not in their lives, but I will say that it is something that if everyone can do, even for a short period, it's worth it, just for your mental, physical, spiritual growth. And you'd be amazed at how much you grow with each country you visit, each place you go and you grow. That's literally what happens. And Tanzania is on my list, so I'm going to be looking at your Tanzania person.
It's on mine too.
Once we finish our build out, I'm going to start traveling for a couple months a year again. And we are definitely going to be doing the different countries. I mean, this is going to be my home base, because this is home.
Okay.
But I definitely am a child of the world and look forward to kind of visiting the different places. And hopefully, if you have something in Egypt, I'll come to your place.
I do. I'll be here. Well, yeah, Egypt's going to be my base for sure. And yeah, I am looking into projects with with some people here, so might have a place by then. But yeah, definitely visit here. I think everybody has to come here at least once in their lifetime. But I'm also super stoked to come to Mexico, because that's also the only place I can get my sister to go with me, because she doesn't have to fly anywhere. So we would be doing a road trip.
Well, a lot of people do it. So. Okay. Enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. And then thank you to everyone who has joined us today. I do appreciate you guys being here for the live. It was a great conversation. Lots of good information shared. As I get Suki's contact information in terms of things that she wants released, I'll put that in the description box to share out. I think you can find her on Facebook though. But yeah, other than that, I am done with this live today. Thank you guys so much for coming, and see you on the next one. I'm going to be talking to African Dreaming in about 5 minutes.